Evening, guys. Hi, hope everybody's doing really well. Yeah, apologies, I've been off grid for for a while, or it seems a long time for me anyway. But yeah, just one or two things I've been dealing with. But yeah, no, no major issues. So yeah, but yeah, just thought I'd jump on this thread that was started by Tony Scott, uh, Canadian gentleman. Yeah, been watched a few of his videos. He's really decent guy. Speaks very well in his videos. They're interesting. He has a quite a broad range of styles and interests musically. But he's quite anecdotal and has told some really interesting sort of stories about finding grails and albums and so on. And yeah, one in particular was pretty poignant. So yeah, he's always worth checking out his videos. So anyway, so he showed. He uploaded this video, I think last week, whereby he showed seven albums that, as far as he's aware, haven't been shown in the VC, or certainly that he hasn't seen shown before. So exactly the same caveat here. The other point I'd make is that a few of these I have shown on my videos previously, but not for a while, and yeah, probably only fleetingly. So, but there you go. So yeah, I mean these aren't necessarily favorite albums. They're all albums that I really enjoy. Um, some I like more than others, but yeah, as far as I know, they haven't been shown, or at least I haven't seen them shown before. So maybe they have. I don't know. But there you go. So let's get on with this, and I'll show you what I got. Okay, so they're a real mixed bag, different styles, my usual. So what you come to expect from me. So the first one is a sort of ambient electronic album from 1978, and this is by a guy called Michael Honig, and this is Departure from the Northern Wasteland. And yeah, this is a really nice sort of late 70s analog synthesizer record. Michael Honig, I believe, was a former member of Tangerine Dream. I believe that he toured with them in the sort of mid to late 70s. Don't think he was a kind of full-time member, but I'm not. I appreciate Tangerine Dream, and I do have some of their records, but I'm not an expert on their history and so on. So I'm not absolutely 100% sure on that. But yeah, this was a solo record that he did, and I'm not altogether too sure whether he did any other albums other than this. I've not really looked into his catalogue, but certainly this is the only one I've ever seen. And yeah, I came to hear about this through a friend who had quite a large record collection. This is probably back in the early mid '80s when I first started collecting records. He was older than me, brother's age, 6 years older. So he had a lot of records going back into the sort of mid to late 70s, but was into a lot of 60s stuff as well. Quite far out, quite sort of left field. And this was like probably, he said that this was probably of his favorite album. And he certainly preferred it to any kind of Tangerine Dream albums, which he also had quite a few, and so on. So I listened to it, and it is wonderful. It is obviously it's sort of analog sequence of long, drawn-out songs. So quite similar to Tangerine Dream in that sense. Obviously, quite repetitive, but it does have a kind of unique atmosphere, and particularly this track on side 2 called Voices of Where. Obviously, it's all instrumental, but there are some kind of sort of disembodied, sort of German sort of voices in the background on it. But it's just an amazing piece. It's just like a 4-note progression, but just sounds like it's drifting off miles in the distance. Very evocative of the pictures of the balloons on the cover. So if you can imagine that, that's kind of how the music sounds. It's kind of quite very ambient, quite spacey, certainly melodic, but just a really, really nice electronic album, and I recommend it if you haven't heard it. Okay, next one, completely different. I've heard, obviously, people talk about this guy, but I don't think I've seen this album shown. This is Boulders by Roy Wood. So obviously Roy Wood, the famous Birmingham multi-instrumentalist, was originally in the Move and the Idol and ELO, before kind of going solo and then forming Wizard and various other projects. And this was an album. This was his first solo album from 1973, and there's the gatefold, and it's wonderful. It's actually it's very much like Roy just playing. It's just all him. He's playing all the instruments, and so obviously you've got cello, guitar, keyboards, all kinds of weird percussion. I think he's playing things like a bucket and a spoon, and it's just all kinds of things, very kind of homemade, homespun kind of sounds, all recorded himself, as I say, in his own studio. And I believe from the recording of this that it was over about a 2 or 3 year period. So as he was working with the Move, I think there was sort of bits and pieces that he was working on as well. I don't know whether any of those tracks were intended to be by the Move. I don't know enough about their discography or their history. There's people in the VC I know who know a lot more about Roy Wood than me. It's a really, really nice album. Very diverse, lots of different sounding tracks, and it's not too difficult to come by this record. This is actually the second copy I had, because the first one I had was very noisy and used to kind of skip a bit, and the cover was ripped. And this was a nice kind of Fiji Plus copy that I got probably a couple of years ago now. It's on that lovely Harvest Progressive label. And certainly if you're a fan of kind of early ELO, the kind of late and Move stuff, you'd enjoy that. Okay. Third one is surprised this record's never been shown, because obviously the guy himself is pretty well known. This is Richard Wright, and this is his 1978 solo album. So obviously Richard Wright, keyboard player from Pink Floyd, and this is his debut solo album called Wet Dream. This wonderful gatefold Hypnosis cover. And yeah, this is obviously this is quite a sort of spacious, very very well recorded, engineered album. Sort of half instrumental, half vocals, vocal actual sort of vocal songs with lyrics. Um, Really nice, quite laid back, chilled out. Um, Bit like kind of you can imagine sort of floating on the ocean there on that yacht. It's quite indicative of the music within. So yeah, that's a good one to check out if you've not heard that one. Okay, this one surprises me as well. I've never seen this shown. This is, I think, well, it's a Supreme's album that was released obviously after Diana Ross's departure, and this is Floyd Joy from 1972 on Tama Motown. And this is a fabulous record. I mean, I really like Diana Ross and the Supremes, but this for me is as good as any of the earlier Supreme stuff. I mean, you've got it's all produced and written mainly by old Smokey Robinson, so it's just quality throughout. The title track is fantastic, and then we've got Automatically Sunshine, fantastic as well. Yeah, Your Wonderful Sweet Sweet Love. There really isn't a bad song on this. It's fantastically produced. Yeah, Mary Wilson, superb. I think her voice is easily as good as Diana's. And I don't think it's any the less an album for Diana Ross not being on it, quite honestly. So yeah, fantastic. Okay, next one is very quickly became a favourite of mine when I picked this up last summer. This is I think he's Canadian. This is Robin Lent, and this is his album Scarecrow's Journey from 1971. And yeah, this is quite a rare record actually. I did pay up a bit for this. It's on this rare Nepantha label. And yeah, he's like a folk singer, but he started off. We actually moved to Europe from with his parents when he was younger, because his father, I think, was a merchant seaman, and they settled in Europe. And Robin was actually in the Dutch production of Hair, the musical Hair, and the backing group was actually Focus, the Dutch prog group Focus. And then sometime later, they, because he'd been writing his own material, they kind of got together and just produced this wonderful, unique record. He's got a really kind of lush, rich vocal, and just plays these wonderful, some of them quite funky, others really folksy, just with beautiful kind of Baroque orchestration, loads of reverb on the vocals, really creates a really special atmosphere. And yeah, as I say, I don't think it's been reissued on vinyl, but you can buy the CD. I know the CD is available on Amazon. So yeah, worth giving it a spin and picking up if you've not heard it. That's Robin Lent and Scarecrow's Journey. Okay, next one is an artist that I keep banging on about, but very rarely see any of his records shown in the VC. And he's certainly a favourite of mine. This is old Roy Harper. Okay, so Roy Harper, I'm sure a lot of you know him. He's a real cult English folk guitarist and songwriter. Started off in the early 60s as a kind of poet, influenced by the sort of beat poets and so on. Never had any aspirations to be a singer or a musician. Just kind of stumbled into that, really. Lived on the Forthlin Road in London, and his flat in the mid 60s became a bit of a hangout for a lot of kind of famous musicians of the day, like Bert Jansch and sort of Robin Williams' etc., etc. And this is his second album, which is called Come Out Fighting Genghis Smith. It's another one that's probably quite difficult to get hold of, but it has been reissued, and it's kind of like the nearest, I guess, that Roy came to doing a pop album, because he never played the game. He was very much doing his own thing, detuning his guitar, playing in weird key changes, just folksy in style. Obviously, you can hear there's influences from sort of David Graham and Bert Jansch and so on. Bert Jansch actually wrote the liner notes for this, because I believe they were quite good friends in the in the 60s. But this is a fabulous record. Very, very sort of weird, idiosyncratic songs, wonderfully strange, humorous lyrics, just comments on society and his own very kind of left of field view of the world. It's he's a wonderful artist to check out if you've not heard him. I really ought to do a video on him sometime. Okay, and the last one I'm going to show is a sort of pop group that emerged in the sort of early mid 70s, probably a bit dated, this one, but I enjoy it, and I never see their record shown. These two guys who used to be in the group The Strawbs, who were English sort of folk rock prog band, and this is Hudson Ford, or Richard Hudson, John Ford, that were the bass player, drummer of in the Strawbs. They left in 1973 to forge their solo career, and they put a band together, and this was the fruits of their labour for their first foray into sort of mainstream pop, I guess, but it isn't. It's kind of there's Beatles-esque kind of feel there in the writing, particularly on the last song, which is called Revelations, which is just fantastic. It's like the riff on it's like something borrowed from Abbey Road, with a twist. But yeah, just Pick Up the Pieces, which was a single. That's a nice song. Just there's great harmonies. It's well produced. It won't blow your socks off, but it's pleasant to listen to, and they're solid songs. And I think they did another 3 albums. I've only got their next 2, which were all on A&M Records. I think they jumped labels after that. The second one's called Free Spirit, and the third one's called Worlds Collide, which is 74 and 75 respectively. All very, very relatively easy to find here in the UK, certainly, and always cheap. You can usually pick them up for around £4 or £5 or something like that in decent condition. So worth checking out. But yes, so that's just a relatively quick one from me. That's my 7 records. So thanks again to Tony for putting the thread together. Yeah, and obviously go over and check his channel out if you haven't already checked it out, and perhaps subscribe. Sure he'd appreciate it. So yeah, cheers guys. Have a great weekend. I'm going record shopping at my favorite shop, which opens on Monday. Yay! So finally getting out again to thumb through some vinyl and see what goodies I can find out there. I've been still buying stuff online, so I've got a bit behind with my kind of vinyl inbox. So I will be hopefully uploading a video to bring you up to date on those before Monday, and then obviously I'll be doing a video on what I find at Ben's from then on. So fingers crossed, find some interesting and good stuff. So guys, take care of yourselves, have a great weekend, and all the best. Cheers. Bye bye.